Learn about date picker and picker views. So to start off, we're going to work with picker views. So I'm going to go back to my storyboard. I'm going to find a UI picker view. I'm just going to drag it out there. You can see it puts in some static information for me, but I want to be able to put in my own information. So I'm going to drag up here and say we're going to handle the data source and the delegate. You'll notice this feels a lot like a table view, where it has a data source and a delegate, and certain methods are required in those realms. So the next thing I have to do is come here and say, I'm going to handle the UIPickerView data source and the UIPickerView delegate. And let's look at the data source just to make sure we understand everything that we need here. So we have a number of components in Picker, so that's the number of rows, or the number of columns, and then we have a number of rows in component. So instead of columns, we're calling them components. So for ours, we're going to do a function number of components in PickerView, and we're just going to return 1. We just want 1 in there. You'll notice we're doing this one in Swift, so that's why we're using Swift notation. The other one is function PickerView, and we want number of rows in PickerView. And in order to do this, I want to create an array. So I'm just going to say it's going to be a static array. Let array equal, actually, I don't need that. And then I'm just going to put in 3 strings. We're going to say first, comma, second, comma, third. So then we're going to return array dot count. We need to lowercase that. Alright, and the last thing I want to do is do a function PickerView title for row at index. And all I'm going to do is return array, lowercase array, object at index row. So now if I build and run that, we see a picker view, first, second, and third. You can see the constraints are off in the storyboard, but that's not a big deal to us. We can still see that this is doing exactly what we want it to. So a picker view allows us to do a lot of cool things like that. Now we didn't look into the delegate, but just like in the table view, you can see there is a did select row. So as it rotates through, it tells you which row was just selected, so you can update your UI if you need to based on that. So let's go back into here, and we're actually going to get rid of our picker view for a second, and we want a date picker. Date pickers are basically just specialized pickers. Let's see, let's slide this over, and then I'm just going to add some quick constraints to this. Just grab the whole thing, add a constraint. And now, when I click on the picker view, you can see it has a few different properties over here that are important to us. So we can set the mode. We can do date and time, we can do a countdown timer. But if I just build and run this, I don't have to actually do anything as far as selecting my date or doing anything setup-wise. It all is built in for me, even switching from AM to PM, and it's statically set to the current time. It'll update when you want it to update. You just tell it to. You can set whatever date or time you want for the picker view to start at. So it's kind of a neat feature, an easy way to be able to have a user enter the date into their app. Now, in order to get the date out of it, there's some documentation that we can go over. But there is several things that we can do with the UIDatePicker. So let's come in here, and we're actually going to come back, and I want an IB outlet. See, let's dismiss that for a second. We're going to go automatic. And now I can drag this over. I can create an IB outlet for my date picker. Now if I was to just throw a simple button on there, just put it far enough over the side so we don't have to worry about it. Shrink that back down, pull that over, and create an IB action for this button. Just call it button touched. It's not any object, we know it's a UI button. Click connect. Alright, so now when that button's touched, I want to get my date picker's date value. So I'm just going to do an NSLog. And we'll just do a %@ saying it's a string. We're going to do my date picker dot date. We build and run that. And we should see print out in our console the date that it's set to, which if you notice, this is set to UTC time. So we would need to go through a date formatter, which we're not going to do in this tutorial, in order to get it to a string that we can use and have it actually be useful in our app. That was a quick tutorial on UIPickerViews and date.